Hello and welcome back to Ryan and I's channel. If you're new here, make sure to subscribe. Today we're going to be making this table right behind me. TikTok has made this table trendy and popular all over again. It was popular a couple years back, or at least I saw it on Pinterest and other places. And Neens did it. Nina is her name. Like a year or two ago. That was the first video I saw someone actually make it. And from before that day, I wanted to make it. And I just now got the time and the need for a table like this. And it's gonna be probably a little bit different than any other tile table that you've seen made before. I've watched a few videos myself, and there's definitely some stuff in there that they do not tell you. I will let you know all of the problems that we hit and all of the things that we had to do different than what I've seen in other videos. Ryan helped me a lot with this build. He's not here with the intro, but he was so much help. You can also go check out his channel. But let's start making it. So I started out by cutting the wood, and I cut the wood incorrectly. I'll already state that here. I can put the dimensions on the screen that I used. I don't remember right now what they were actually cut down to. But I just had 3 main pieces and like a runner that goes behind. And these were just 2 by 12 boards. So really like 1.5 by 11.5. I used a Craig Jr. to make pocket holes to attach the legs to the top. You can easily do this just by screwing the screw directly into the wood. Pocket holes just make it a lot cleaner. We have the Craig, so why not? It's also really fun to do pocket holes. I did 1 pocket hole on each side and 2 pocket holes in the middle, so 4 total on each leg. Well, that was dumb. Also, wow, I look really good, you guys. Hi, you guys haven't seen me yet. Hi, I look like an egg. I did the pocket holes in the wrong piece of wood. So, we're just gonna try and avoid where these would be, these holes. So now we're gonna start screwing in these legs. So, these are the legs, not the top. The way that I'm doing it is I start drilling the screws into the pocket holes, but in my experience with using pocket holes, it's still hard for me to do it on my own because the wood likes to like hop around a little bit, so it doesn't actually screw in the spot that I want it to. So I usually need Ryan to push down on top just to make sure that the wood is staying in place. And I'll show you that just a little bit right here. So I'll do the like pre-screwing where I don't actually screw it in enough to go through the second piece of wood just to stabilize the screw so it's not going to hop around when Ryan is here. And I only need like the 2 end pieces with Ryan pushing down on the wood. So I just have them partially screwed in so they're not wiggly, and I only do these 2 because once Ryan helps me, then these ones I can just do all on my own, but they're partially in, so it's way easier to screw them in. Press down. Thanks. I also added this stringer right here. I did not get a video of doing this. It is a 2x4 and I made sure to measure it so it went down the perfect height so that the tiles would line up with it. This was just to make the table a little sturdier. Ours is kind of tall, and so we wanted to make sure that it was extra sturdy. Okay, it's day 2 of working on the tile table, and today is the fun day, well, we'll see, of tiling. We have all of our sheets of tile right here. Here is what they look like. You guys haven't seen them yet.
Salt and pepper, baby.
Yeah, it's like a peppered tile. We got it for $1 a square foot. So all of this tile for $20, and we were gonna pay like $100 for it. So quite the steal. We are looking at making this table for like under 100. It will be like 100 on the dot. And that's like with tools included. So like with the grout, spatula, the trowel.
The only tool not included is a drill.
Yeah, drill in the Kreg.
Yeah.
But you don't necessarily need a Kreg.
Yeah.
You can just drill your screws right in from the top. I have a very tile-friendly outfit on. It's really comfy, so I'm wearing a dress. Here we go. We're going to start with the top because we've never tiled before. So we decided we might as well try with an easy part. It also is the most seen part, but it is also a part we can cover up. So not too worried. So here we go. We're going to have like a 1/4 inch of overhang on each side, which is going to be perfect just because of how thick the tile is, and with the adhesive I think it's going to end up being like perfect for it. So let's get to it.
Yeah.
So the tools you're going to need for this project, or this part of the project, is a trowel. We went with just a little one so we can get it on the edges a little bit better and get in the corners, and it's just not that big of a thing. So this is what we went with, a little cheaper, a little smaller, easier to store. Then our tile adhesive, we kind of just went with the cheapest one. I'm not too concerned with it. It's not going to be used to, it's not going to be wiped off and doesn't really need to hold any moisture. And then the last thing is the tiles.
The forbidden yogurt.
Okay, here we are. This is it. The first time of tiling. The first thing that you do is you spread out your adhesive. You want to get it smooth, and depending on what type of adhesive you got to figure out how thick it's supposed to be. This was not level. We were not great at this part. It was pretty hard to see how thick it was, so we just tipped the trowel upside down and kind of stabbed it in to see how high it went in comparison to the trowel. Just poked it around. We would then go over with the rake side of the trowel and rake it out, and then it was time to lay. You would think that laying the tiles would be the most stressful part, but it's actually, I think, the most forgiving. It doesn't stick completely when you just lay it on, especially on a horizontal surface. You can just set it down and reposition it as you need. And so we laid it down as evenly as we could, and then we just fixed it to be center with the piece of wood. And then we just slightly put some pressure on the top of the tiles just to make sure that it really got a hold of the adhesive. Once we laid the first tile, we felt pretty good about it, and we continued on with the rest of the table. Adhesive, trowel, level, tile. 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 And then once we got most of it done, we realized we had a bit of a problem. Like I said, the wood was not cut correctly. I think we should have cut the 2x12s down a little bit so it was a little more narrow but fit the tiles better. We cut the wood before we actually had the tiles, so we couldn't compare them, and we wanted to get the cuts out of the way when we had space, because in our tiny studio apartment we do not have the space to cut wood of that size. So Ryan was a smart man, and he got little trim pieces to fill in the space.
Because of how the tiles lined up, I got some of this trim for a screen door. and put it on here to give us some height to be able to place the tiles onto. It's probably not great that it's primed wood, and I'm definitely not gonna sand it. So we're just gonna hope that the tile sticks, you know?
We did use some masking tape to keep it up and keep it from falling to the ground. A few days passed, and it was time to do what I thought was gonna be the best part, the grout. The grout, I thought it wasn't gonna give us any trouble. I've seen people tile, and it looks like it goes so smooth. That's not what happened. The grout gave us a run for our money. Once we finished, I wanted to throw the table away. Ryan mixed the grout in our bathtub. When you're doing this, you want to make sure to add in the dry grout before, if you have unmixed grout, that is. And then you want to add the water on top of it. I don't know why, it's what the tile people say to do.
It's pretty fun. Kind of rough when you don't have a drill that has like a handle on it. Bit of a mess. Let's run some water.
While he was doing this, I was prepping the table.
You ready to grout, my dude?
Oh yeah. So we got our bucket of grout right here. You can hear our shower running just to make sure all the grout that might have fallen down is going through the pipes and out of the building. It kind of looks like brownie mix in here. It is just a black grout, you know, to contrast with the white. And this is our first time doing this, so I'm a little nervous, but I think we'll be fine. I'm just hoping not to make too much of a mess on our grout. I tried to prep the space as much as I could. We'll see how it goes. I think I just scoop it up and spread it out now. Oh, shoddy thick, huh?
Yeah, it's really thick. When you get it like warmed up, when you like really blast it with the mixer, it would stay like it would get thinner, but you should feel it after it doesn't get touched for a while. She gets real thick.
Okay, I saw that you're supposed to put it on at a 45-degree angle so you don't like hit any hard edges.
I'm interested, like this is a tight seam on this side, but it's gonna be rough pressing her in. This big gap, because this grout's like, this is something you would have to silicone, because this grout is supposed to only go up to like
I think we want to silicone some of these corners anyways.
Yeah.
The grout process took a long time. Now when you're grouting, like I said, you want to do it at a 45-degree angle. That's not me saying a 45-degree angle to the surface. It doesn't really matter, but to the squares, this would be straight on. You want to go 45-degree angle this way. And remember, keep your grout a little thinner. I know on vertical surfaces, it might be a little bit scarier. Don't keep it too thin, but ours was like thick brownie batter. When it came time to use the sponge and wipe off any excess grout, I thought it would be a breeze. I've seen people do it, and the sponge just isn't that dirty. I knew this would not be the case for us with how much grout we had on the table. It took probably like 30 rings of the sponge to get even a little bit of white showing. After scrubbing and scrubbing and scrubbing, we got a little bit of white peeking through. Just a little bit of white peeking through. And this was the easiest surface. This will be a while. You might just come back when the table's done. Ryan's mixing in some more water because it just seemed a little too thick. And once we went through the whole process of grouting the entire table and wiping off as much as we could, this was where I wanted to trash the whole project. It was almost done and it looked terrible. You'll see later in some of the videos how bad it looked. It looked like moldy and stained and terrible, and I thought it was never gonna get better. We have it all grouted. Finally, it took a long time and a lot of elbow grease to get it to where it is right now, but it's not done yet. It has a lot of stains. I think a lot of people call it haze. It really looks like it's stained on ours. Our tiles are matte, and so they definitely take on the grout just a little bit more than a glazed tile or glass tile. It's just like around the edges definitely are a little bit more stained. On the spots that the grout stayed on a lot longer, most of the tile is stained, so instead of white it definitely looks very gray. But with a 4-to-1 ratio of water to vinegar, so that would be like 1 cup water, 1/4 cup of vinegar. If you spray it on and you let it sit for just a little bit and take some cheesecloth. Cheesecloth is what I'm using because that is what our grout box recommended, but I bet any other rag will work. And then I think I'm gonna do one last spray once I'm done scrubbing and go over with the sponge just to pick up any excess grout. So this is what I'm doing, and I think that this is the last step of the process. We grouted yesterday, so it's been a good amount of hours, I think, to do this. And I tested it on the top, not the whole top. So we're gonna get to doing this. Okay guys, I'm gonna do one last wipe down just with the cheesecloth and the vinegar spray just to get any last little haze off, and then we'll be ready to see the final. Well, you guys, that's it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you learned a few tips if you want to make this table yourself. You need time, you need patience, you kind of need to know what you're doing. You gotta go with the flow. And measure, measure, measure. We did not. If you do, I hope you have a lot of luck with it and it turns out great. Even though ours took a lot of time and a lot of elbow grease, we love it. And it's just like perfect next to our fridge. I love this table, love how it turned out. Somewhat worth the time. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye.